All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to break down what is, no exaggeration, the single most important chemical reaction on planet Earth.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the big picture, the global scale of it all. Then we're going to zoom way, way in, right into the tiny factory where it all happens. We'll see how the machinery works, and finally, we'll pull back out to connect all the dots.
Okay, first things first. We really need to get a handle on just how fundamental this process is. I mean, it's everything.
It's a huge question, right? But the answer is pretty staggering. This one reaction, it literally powers almost all life as we know it.
Okay, look at that number. That's 100 billion tons. That's how much carbon photosynthesis pulls out of the atmosphere every single year. I mean, to even try and wrap your head around that, it's like taking the weight of every single person on Earth and multiplying it by 200. It's just a mind-boggling amount of solar energy being turned into, well, life. So what is it, really? Well, put simply, think of it as nature's ultimate recipe. It takes a few simple ingredients, water, air, sunlight, and uses them to build the complex, energy-packed molecules that life is made of.
All right, now let's go on a little trip. We're going to shrink down and journey into the microscopic world to see exactly where all this magic happens.
So we're diving inside a plant cell, and it's a busy place, kind of like a city. We're going to fly right past the big structures like the cell wall and the nucleus, because we're on a mission to find one very special little power plant. And there it is, the chloroplast. This is the factory floor. And you know, what's so cool about it is its design. You see all those little stacks of membranes inside? That's not random. That structure is absolutely key to how it all works so efficiently. Okay, to really get what's going on in there, we're going to use an analogy. Let's think of the whole chloroplast as a super advanced factory. Keep this factory idea in mind, because it's going to help us make sense of everything else we're about to see. So we're inside the factory. The first order of business? Charging the batteries. And this all goes down on what are basically the factory solar panels, those stacks we just saw, called thylakoids. So how do you capture sunlight? Well, you need these tiny molecules called pigments. They're like little antennas, perfectly tuned to grab certain wavelengths of light. The star players, of course, are the chlorophylls. And yep, they're the reason plants look green to us. And this is just brilliant. Look at the tiny, tiny difference between these two chlorophyll molecules. Just a couple of atoms swapped out. But that small tweak means they absorb slightly different colors of light. It's like having two different types of solar panels, so the plant can suck up way more energy from the full spectrum of sunlight. So clever. So these pigments don't work alone. They're all clustered together in these big groups called photosystems. It's like a giant antenna dish made of hundreds of smaller antennas, all funneling the light energy they capture down to one single, super important point. And that's where the action begins. All right, what happens next seems complicated, but we can break it down into 4 main steps. It's kind of like a tiny, super fast relay race for an electron. And the whole point of this race is to charge up our batteries. So here's the whole assembly line in action. You can literally follow the path of that little electron as it gets zapped with light, passed along the chain, and then zapped again. And as it travels, it powers these pumps that create this energy potential, which in turn powers that incredible little spinning motor at the end to make one of our batteries, ATP. Okay, so let's pause. What was the whole point of that crazy, complicated dance? It was all about one thing, making 2 specific molecules, ATP and NADHP. These are our fully charged, sun-powered batteries. That's it. All that work just to charge the batteries. Now they're ready to be used. All right, batteries are charged. Now let's head over to the main assembly floor of our factory, that jelly-like stuff called the stroma, and see what these batteries are actually going to build. Now, this next part is the Kelvin cycle. You might have heard it called the dark reactions, but honestly, that's a terrible name. It doesn't happen in the dark at all. It happens when the sun is out, because it absolutely needs a constant, fresh supply of those batteries we just made. And at its core, the assembly line is beautifully simple. Check out the inputs. It grabs carbon dioxide right out of the air, it uses the energy from our ATP batteries, it uses the high-energy electrons from our NADPH batteries. And what does it build? A simple 3-carbon sugar. It's literally building food out of thin air. Okay, we've been deep in the weeds of the microscopic world. For this last part, let's zoom all the way back out and talk about why any of this matters to, well, to us. So we're back where we started, with this simple equation. But it's not just symbols anymore, is it?
Now you know the incredible journey behind it. You know how water gets split. You know where the CO2 goes. And you know the Rube Goldberg machine of a process that turns sunlight into the chemical energy in sugar.
So, what are the big takeaways? Well, this one process turns light into life. It happens in two main stages. First, you charge the batteries, then you use the batteries to build sugar. And that oxygen we're all breathing right now, yeah, that's just a waste product from splitting water. And, maybe most importantly, this process is the foundation, the very base of pretty much every food chain on this planet. I mean, it's a planetary engine. It's running silently, right now, inside every green leaf on Earth. And it is quite literally powering our entire world.
So I'll just leave you with this question. This process perfected solar power billions of years ago. What can it still teach us today?